Your photography is great. You must have a great camera. Thank you. Your dinner was lovely. You must have an amazing oven. I really like these jokes when photographers are trying to use this analogy to prove that gear doesn't matter. But the fact is that I like to cook and I know gear matters in the kitchen too. So I want to discuss why gear matters in photography and especially in photographical compositions. Let's talk about this now. Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Tudor Matescu and I'm glad to see you here. Now I want to talk why gear matters in composition, in photography, but especially in composition. And I want to tell you from my experience how gear influenced me in different styles of composition. And in the end, after years of using different cameras and different formats, I will try to conclude if gear matters or not in photography and for who matters and for who doesn't matter. So if you are liking content like this, please subscribe now to my channel and let's get to the subject. The first thing that I want to address is related to analogies. I like to sing at the guitar. And there are guitars and guitars, there are strings and strings, and every instrument it's making a special sound. It's making a special sound, and also every string will make a different sound. Yes, in musical terms we have the same notes, the same musical notes, but one it's a flamenco guitar and another it's a blues guitar, another a jazz guitar, another a folk guitar. And also this is true in kitchen craft, in bakery and so on. An oven does matter when you want to cook. An oven dedicated to make bread or dedicated to make fish, or a special skillet to make fish or bread and so on. I will not enter in these details because this channel is not about this, but what I want to tell you is from my experience, like a passionate cooker, like a passionate music hobbyist that I want to be, I know that gear matters, and depending on the gear you will obtain different results. Of course you can play rock with a flamenco guitar, and of course you can play flamenco with a folk guitar, but the results in the end will not be the same when you use different gear. And now this is taking me to the next point, Vivian Maier. I really love Vivian Maier photography and I've made a special video 10 tips from Vivian Maier photography. Check link in the card. Look at Vivian Maier's work. Take the book of Vivian Maier photography and you will see there that Vivian Maier had extraordinary pictures in black and white and using a Rolleiflex camera. In the introductory part, Maier is making a point that Rolleiflex influenced the style and the looking of her photography. When you look at the Vivian Maier photography, you'll observe the down angle of her subjects, and also he is telling that her black and white photography it is better than the colored photography, and it's really feeling that. When you look at the pictures that Vivian Maier made with Leica M cameras and with color photography on the 35mm film format, you will really feel the difference. So you will really feel that gear mattered in Vivian Maier photography. Check my video related to Vivian Maier to see what I'm talking here. And this is taking me to the next point, Fujifilm X-Pro3 Leica MD. Why Fujifilm decided to make this purist camera, this Fujifilm X-Pro3? Why Leica MD it is a digital camera without a screen and without an EVF? Why is that? And why people are buying these cameras? Because this Fujifilm X-Pro3 or Leica MD will influence the way you are taking pictures. And the idea with these cameras is to use the optical viewfinder. This is why Fujifilm X-Pro3 it is here, and this is why people are wanting to buy a Fujifilm X-Pro3 or a Leica MD or a film camera, because they want to use the optical viewfinder. And it's not just about the experience of using the optical viewfinder or a rangefinder looking or a true rangefinder camera. It's about the composition. Good photographers or experienced photographers are knowing that when you are looking through an optical viewfinder, you'll get specific compositions, better compositions. Why? Because you are closing your eyes and you will not see with your peripheral view what is happening outside of your frame. And having X Pro 3 or Leica MD or another camera with optical viewfinder that it's helping you to see outside of your frames, it's something that no other cameras with an electronic viewfinder will be able to offer you. So this means you'll not be able to get compositions like you get with a Fujifilm X Pro 3 or like you will get with a rangefinder camera. So this is huge. This really matters in your composition. You will not be able to do street photography with a Ricoh GR3 like you are doing it with a Fujifilm X Pro 3. And now this is taking me to the next point. Small compact cameras with wide lenses like Ricoh GR3, XF10 and so on. And please be sure to check my review regarding why I regret selling my XF10 and why you should keep your compact camera even if you have other great cameras. Link in the card. So small compact cameras. These small compact cameras are also influencing your composition, your way that you are shooting. They are really influencing the way that you are composing images. You can't compose with a Ricoh GR3 or an XF10 like you will compose with a Leica MD or like with a Fujifilm X Pro 3. Yes, if you use similar lenses, it is possible to have similar photos, but there are some situations where X Pro 3 with a wide lens will not be able to compete with Ricoh GR3 or XF10. So this is huge. You can't take this camera and flip it like a Ricoh GR3 or like an XF10, go very close to someone's face and take the shot. You can't do it. The camera it's heavy and the lens it will be bigger and so on. Yes, you can do it if you really want it, but I feel regarding this style of photography, the mojones it's with Ricoh GR3 and XF10. It's not with X Pro 3 or another camera. Of course you can do similar shots, but as I've said, there are specific tools to get specific results. And now this is taking me to the next point, AF and manual focusing lenses. In a way you shoot with an AF lens and in another way you shoot with a manual focusing lens. I think this is clear for everyone. When you use a manual focusing lens, you will need to take time, you will need to think about composition. But when you use an AF lens, you'll act differently. And you will not think so well about composition. And this will influence your style. This will influence your photography. An AF lens or a manual focusing lens will influence your composition. And now I'm getting to the next point, features of a camera. And this is where I want to talk a little about Olympus and Micro Four Thirds system. I can't do with other systems what I can do with a Micro Four Thirds camera. With a Micro Four Thirds camera I can shoot at longer focal lenses like 100mm on a full frame, so 50mm on a Micro Four Thirds sensor with long exposure time. Go at the seaside and do some shots like that. Try to do this with Fujifilm X Pro 3. Of course, you will not be able to do it. You'll probably need a tripod and so on. Also, I can do all kinds of long exposure shots with this camera, and I'm not able to do this with other cameras. So huge point for a Micro Four Thirds lens. And this is taking me to the next point, the sensor of the camera. We have here a Micro Four Thirds sensor 4 or 3 that I really like for street photography, and I've made a special video why I like Micro Four Thirds for street photography. Check link in the card. Also on Fujifilm X-Pro 3 and other APS-C camera and full frame cameras we have 2x3 sensors and so on. But there are smaller sensors and bigger sensors. And when you will couple that with different focal lenses and different aperture, you'll get all kinds of different effects, like compression, like depth of field, shallow depth of field, or more depth of field, depending on what you want. Also, a different sensor will influence the sharpness, the dynamic range, the colors, the tones of a black and white photography. And what I can tell you, a full frame camera, from my point of view, has the best black and white tones there. Of course, you will not feel those black and white tones on a small mobile phone, but you will feel it on a bigger screen. And in printing, I don't know, it really depends on the paper and how you print the images. But all this stuff that it's related to gear, it's influencing how you compose image and how the images will look in color or in black and white tones. And now, talking about big sensors and small sensor, it's taking me to the next point, big camera and small camera. And I will make a special video regarding big camera versus small camera in street photography. So please subscribe now to my channel to see when I will publish that video. But what I can tell you now very fast is that when you use a big camera on the streets, you will act differently and you will compose differently and you will interact differently with your subject. So depending on the size of your camera, you will interact differently. With a small camera, you will interact in a way and you will act in a way and you will compose in a special way versus how you will act with a big camera and with a big lens. So it's very important to know that with bigger cameras you will obtain different results, with smaller cameras different results. For my style of photography, I don't know, I like small cameras, but I feel that when I'm using big cameras, I am thinking more about composition and I'm able to do better compositions and I get better interactions with a bigger camera. And the next point that I want to address is regarding vintage classic lenses versus modern lenses. When you use a vintage lens, you will obtain a specific image. And when you use a vintage lens, probably you will use manual focusing. And this means you will get different compositions and different looks of your pictures. So this gear, it will influence your photography. And the last point that it's coming to my mind, it's about film versus digital photography. When you use a film camera, you'll have to think about composition. You'll have to think about the film qualities. You'll have to think about exposure. You can't take a film camera and snap it like you'll do with a digital camera. And this will influence your style and influence your photography. And this is why it's important to think well about the gear. And this is taking me to the next point. Gear matters because you must feel inspired regarding the gear that you have. You must feel that, yes, I want to pick this camera. Yes, I want to take photos with this camera. Yes, I like to use this camera. And I'm especially referring here to photography as a hobby. If you are paid, you'll probably put your hand on any camera that you have and you'll take the shots that you are paid to take. But for a hobby to work, to get that mojo in your hobby, you need to have a camera that is helping you to have good mojo-ness when you are going outside with the camera. And at the end, does gear matter or not? Well, it depends on the level of the photography that you are doing. It's also depending on your experience and on your passion. Are you passionate about gear and photography? Are you passionate just about photography? Are you passionate about black and white? Are you passionate about color photography? Are you passionate about film photography? What is your passion? What is your job? Are you a paid photographer or are you just a hobbyist? So it really depends on you in the end if gear matters. Yes, after years of experience with different formats, with different lenses, with different cameras, you can obtain similar results, similar compositions, because you will know what to do, because you will have your eye of your mind trained and you'll be able to get the shots that you want. But to have that experience, you must experience first, from my point of view, the gear or the style. And to understand the style that you want to mimic or that you want to understand, to deconstruct, to model, you must try to use similar gear like the photographer that you like, to try to model that photographer. And why would you want to try to model a photographer? Some people are saying that they are having their own style. I really don't know if they are having a style or they are just believing that they are having a style. I'm not at the level that I can say I have my own style. I can understand styles. I can understand different inspirations from different styles because I've studied all kinds of styles, and I like to see how a modern photographer that is having his own style had been inspired from Saul Leiter or from Bresson or from other photographers, and now he is able to have his own style but with different accents and with different inspiration methods from other masters. It's very interesting. And why am I saying that? If you study paintings and painters, you'll see that the disciple of a master is having something from the master that teach him to paint. And this is happening, and it's also true in photography. You really need to find someone who is really inspiring you, because I feel that there are very few people that are able to have their own true style, that own true artistic eye. That artistic eye needs to be educated, and to be educated needs to study masters, needs to study painting, needs to study all kinds of visual art. But this is a talk for another time. So in the end, I feel that it depends on your specific needs, if gear will matter or not for you. For some people, gear will matter, for others will not, but for me it matters because, how I've said, I feel different gear, it's helping me to get different compositions, and it's helping me to get easier that compositions and think in those compositions. And as a last thought, I want to tell you about a renowned philosopher that said the following when the typewriter was invented. He said that he's feeling that his way of thinking is influenced by the typewriter. He said that when we are using typewriters, we will become robots and will not think fluently as we are thinking when we are writing using a pen. I'm sorry that I really don't remember the name of this philosopher, but he's right. Try to write using a pen, and then try to write using the computer, or try to write using the mobile phone. You'll observe that the way you are thinking, the way the ideas are developing in your head, is influenced by the gear that you use to write. And this is also true for photography. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe now to my channel. Leave me a comment and talk to you soon. Bye bye.